What's going on, guys? I know it's been a while since I've done an update on the F100, and unfortunately, as you saw in the title, I have to have this conversation with you. So first of all, let's step outside and see what happened. So I get in here the other day, and it just keeps making this weird noise, okay? I hear it coming out the back, and so I look back here. Wait, what's that? Oh, okay. Now I get it. Blown F100. Okay, so not necessarily clickbait, you know what I mean? But pretty darn close to it. So what the plan is this winter, whenever I have some free time, I'm gonna bring the truck in here, at least before, we get our vehicles back out for the show season next year and stuff. I'm going to get the truck in here and do some upgrades to it. So as you know, there is a 4.6 liter 2-valve in that Ford F100. All right, so if you know anything about these engines, you know that they're durable. They do last a long time. My first experience with these engines was when I was a police officer. We were actually driving the Crown Vics through this little course they make you go through. Hundreds of thousands of miles most times, because they're using the same cars until they blow up. And it was just amazing, the beating that they could take. However, they're not necessarily like a strong engine. Like you're not gonna, throw 600 or 700 horsepower at it and not expect something bad to happen. There have been people who have done it, but more than likely, the smartest thing to do is build the bottom end. However, for this project and the outcome that I'm wanting this winter, I'm only going for like 450 to 500 wheel, okay? So that's all I really want out of this. I don't want it to be like anything too crazy. So I haven't really decided yet if I'm gonna build the bottom end up at all. If I do build the bottom end up, obviously, I'm going to probably try to shoot for more than that, at least over 5. However, I don't think that it's really necessary. I've got other things to address on the truck, like the fact that it still does like 1 tire burnouts. I want, a posi or something back there. So all these things are things that I'm going to try to address this winter whenever I get it inside. I'm going to do some other just miscellaneous stuff, try to clean it up a little bit. All right, guys, so here she is, a little closer now that we're done with the little joke at the entry. So this is an Eaton M112 supercharger. These were on like the 03, 04 Cobras. So, and obviously if you know anything about these Ford engines, this will not just automatically bolt right up to a 4.6 liter 2-valve. So there is an adapter that goes along the bottom of this supercharger here that adapts it to a 4.6 liter 2-valve. And then you can just, obviously you have to do bigger injectors and all that other stuff too. So you're basically just buying the adapter that goes along the bottom. The Eaton will go directly on top of that. And then you just got to be responsible for tracking down everything else. So the site, which I'll get into all this stuff later, because I will go more in depth about how I'm putting this on there. The idea is that you're using an 03, 04 style blower from a Cobra. And then so basically you're just tracking down all the parts that you're going to need, just like you were putting it on an 03, 04 Cobra. So if you, want to use a factory correct heat exchanger and stuff like that for an 03, 04 Cobra, you can. But obviously this stuff's, fairly universal. Throttle body is something that you definitely want to make sure is correct. But there are a lot of other parts that you can use. Like I have a heat exchanger already, and that's the nice thing about this kit. Before I get farther into that, you can pretty much just go and track down anything you need. All right, so this is the heat exchanger that I was able to find. This is not specific for an 03, 04 Cobra, but my point is you're basically just worried about your inlet and outlet sizes over here. As long as they're the exact same, even if they're not, you can buy adapters and that kind of stuff. But it's the same idea. I guess this one came from a Whipple supercharger kit. Some guy said he didn't need it because he went with a different style heat exchanger. And I knew nothing about this. I just knew that it would fit where I needed it to go, and I purchased it. So this may or may not be specific for something else, but I'm able to make that work by building some brackets and stuff like that. Also an intercooler that goes underneath this. It's kind of sandwiched between the bottom of the supercharger and the adapter plate. So also, if you're worried about the color of this, it is an exact paint match of my truck. I did that just because, you know, I wanted to make the inside of the engine bay look a little bit more presentable. So that's another thing I'm working on this winter. So the company's name is TorqueTech. It is TorqueTech. But yeah, if you haven't heard about them yet, go check out their website, because it does give a pretty good way to bolt these Eaton style blowers or Whipples. I mean, you can pretty much put anything you want on there. They list a few of the options, but there's just everything else that you would possibly need on there. They can sell the stuff to you if you want to do it that way. I prefer to track some stuff down, so that way I know just exactly what I'm getting, and I've got from now until this winter to get stuff figured out. So it is kind of nice, you know, you find, like, my heat exchanger was a never been used heat exchanger, still in the box, and got a great deal on it. So if you're like me and you want to, you know, try to shop around for some of that stuff, then that gives you a ton of time, and that list is super helpful as well. All right, so another thing is, a lot of people have been like, dude, those engines cannot handle that. And I know that, you know, people have had bad experiences with these engines blowing up. It's a fairly low mile engine, so it should be a relatively healthy engine still. I want to say there's like 60 or 70,000, but don't quote me on that. So there should be plenty of life left in this thing. I see no signs of any like internal damage on my engine. Everything runs great. I am aware that it may go boom, and I don't know, I guess I'm just willing to deal with the risk, you know what I mean? Like, if it does blow up, then I can easily find another 4.6 liter 2 valve, or even at that point, you know, try to find an engine from a 03, 04 Cobra, or rebuild that one with a stronger bottom end. And then we can look at pulley swaps and that kind of stuff too. So, I don't know, but again, I'm just throwing out all these ideas. So the supercharger is definitely on the schedule for this winter. That's going to get done regardless. Yeah, I've got some time to try to track down some of these other parts and to think about, you know, whether or not I want to build the engine up. I do think it would make a pretty awesome video if there was like this big elaborate boom whenever it went out. But again, I don't know what I want yet. So I'm not going to try to make my truck blow up either, by the way. All right, guys, if you have any experience with the TorqueTech kits, and you know, I don't really need help with like the installation part of it, but just experience with dealing with them and how that whole process went, let me know in the comments, because I would like to know some more information myself. That's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned though, because I will be painting that 56 Chevy very, very soon, and I'm super excited for that. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.